Back for another segment of Q's Corner brought to you by Dunk Mama Media. We always have special guests, and today I'm honored because this is a home Bay Area legend. He's done so much for many people, including myself. But we have Glen Graham himself. How you doing today?
I'm good, brother. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
No problem, no problem. It's great
Appreciate
to
you.
have you. It's great to have you with us. First question I want to ask you: your playing career. When did your playing career start and end?
Well, started at San Leandro Boys Club, to be honest. I grew up in the Sobrante Park area, so I went to Sobrante Park Elementary, went to Madison Middle School, Oakland High, then Contra Costa College, and then finished at Cal State Hayward.
Okay. When did it from when did you fall in love with the game though?
I'm going to say I fell in love with the game about fourth grade.
Okay.
My uncle used to take me and my brother to Crazy Park Albany Recreation Center.
Okay.
And it's still open to this day. The funny part, I drove past there not too long ago. I'm like, wow, this place is still open. You know, when you little, it looks so big, but when you get bigger, it looks so little.
Right.
But I started there playing. My uncle took me there. Me and my brother every Saturday. He used to pick us up, and we used to go there. He never used to let us play with the big guys, with the older kids. But you know, we used to be in the gym, thinking we somebody.
When did it transition for you? Because of course, when I got to know Glen Graham, it was training. So when did that?
Right.
When did you transition from being the player that you were, incredible player that you were, to the incredible trainer that you are?
Well, that started with I want to say it started 94, maybe 92, 90, maybe 93, because it started with B. Shaw, J. Kidd, and Sharif Abdul-Rahim. So it started with those three guys in the gym, and from there just took off with the Phil Handys, the Wayman Stricklands, the Al Grisbys. Matter of fact, one of your guys, Leon Poe. I trained, I would say, mostly everybody that came up in the Bay, from the GPs to the J Kids. You know, I think everybody at one point or another, I put a little hands on them.
Now, just from what I know, I feel like, especially with training, where a lot of trainers go to, they try to get the top dogs off the bat.
Right.
That they can develop. For you, was that something that was in you, or you just wanted to be able to develop any player that
everybody. I didn't turn anybody down. I mean, if you just wanted to be in the gym and you wanted to work, I was willing to work with you. They can call me at any time. It didn't matter what skill level you was at. I didn't just try to go for everybody that I knew could make it. You know, I wanted to teach the kids that nobody gave a chance to. So that's when I started my own program, Red and Black Basketball. And the crazy part is I got a bunch of kids that didn't even play college basketball from that program, but they were just so good just to be a part of something. It just made them feel much better about themselves. Because, you know, like as you know, you ended up at Carolina, but everybody not going to go to North Carolina. You know what I'm saying?
Right. What was the differences between the levels of people that you trained, from high school to college and pro? What were the differences that you saw?
I would think it was more like the speed of the game and the knowledge of the game, and the guys that work hard. That I think those are guys. Well, I was trying to push the guys like, hey, you know, if you coming in to train, you can't come in and train and go and be tired. You know, that's not going to work. You know, one thing about training, you have to be in shape. When you go to any camp or any practice, you know, the first thing the coach is going to say is the kid in shape. So my main goal was like, I don't like giving a whole bunch of water breaks, you know, just say we can go, if you can go 45 minutes to an hour without a break, then I think you'll be in pretty good shape.
For you, Glen, what advice, well, not advice, what do you think players should look for when choosing a college? You know, because that was something for me, to be honest. Leon was the first person that I could actually ask questions to, and even
right.
because Leon was only a year ahead of me.
Right, exactly. I would say for you know, I talk to kids about, especially in my program or whatever, if they're in college and if they're in high school thinking about a college, I would just tell them, hey, go there. If you got to visit, go on your visits. If it feels like home, then do it, because you'll know if it's the right place for you. Once you talk to the guys, you'll know, like, just like going to buy a car or a house, you're not going to buy the first car you jump into. You're going to look around, but if it feels like the car you want, you're going to buy it. So if it felt like home, I felt like I could be here for the next 1 to maybe 4 years. This would be a place for me. And also, I would tell the kid to make sure it's the style of play that you want to play. You know, I don't want, if you're not a kid that want to play slow down brand of basketball, I wouldn't pick that school because that's not their style of game. So it doesn't fit the kind of game you really want to play. So that's what I would tell a kid immediately. Like, if you go there and it fits your style of play, what you want to get out of this, go there.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up because as we all know, for kids, we always have somebody in our ear, whether it's parents.
Oh, definitely.
And for the parents who may see this, what advice would you give for parents when dealing with a student athlete? Because it's not always easy. You know, it's not always easy.
Well, it's funny that you say that because, like, my daughters didn't play basketball. I mean, they played in high school. I didn't have a choice such as yourself where you had choices of options to go to school to play basketball. So I would I helped, you might have heard the kid James Akinjo. He came up through my program. I had James since he was like in the 8th grade, and to this day, we still talk. And so when he first decided to go to UConn, you know, he called me. So I surprised him and went on the trip. He didn't know I was even coming. I paid for myself, went there. When he got off the plane, I was at the airport. So he was just so shocked that I did it. So when we talked about it before he even decided he wanted to do it, I'm like, you know, if this feels like, I know kids like to be recruited and like to take 4, 5, 6 trips, 5 trips, that's just for the fluff. If this is where you want to be, then go there, because at some point they're looking at the next, you're their first guy. If you don't sign, they're not going to wait on you. They're going to the next guy because they can't wait on you. So I just told him it felt like home, do it. So he ended up doing it. And then, things fell apart. But I would always tell the kid, man, especially to the parent, let the kid decide, because he's the one that's going to have to be there for 4 years anyway. He's going to be the grown adult in the room at that point, because he's away from you now for the next 1 to 4 years. So he has to decide, because we don't have to live there. He has to stay there. So he has to decide if this is the place for him. Let him grow up, let him fail, let him succeed, whatever's going to happen. Just if it don't turn out the way he really wanted to be, don't run from it. Deal with some adversity. Sometimes you have to deal with adversity in your life and just deal with it. You just can't armor jump ship, because the grass ain't always green on the other side, because it got some weeds too. Every program got some weeds,
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up because, I can be honest. And when I went to Carolina, I had my downs. I even got to the point my junior year. A lot of people don't know. I thought about transferring. But ultimately, for me personally, it was more than basketball. There was other things that kept me there. Especially in a time of social media, what do you mean the pros and cons for kids nowadays? Because nowadays it's like, if I post me making some jumpers, if I'm post me getting up and throwing it in the rim, now these college coaches are just at me. But it's not always easy, of course,
Exactly. I would say to that, what's funny, that I really don't look at social media that much. I don't even have social media, to be honest, because I want to see the kid. How many shots did you miss? Don't show me all your makes. Show me the ones you missed. Show me especially if guys like, hey, this is how they see in game film or whatever little clips that they have of themselves. But I like, hey, if you want to send me something, send me the whole game. I want to see if you on this help side defense, how many times you didn't block out, how many rebounds you missed, how many times you didn't take a charge in this situation. I just don't want to see all the buckets you made, because that's the only thing you're going to glorify. Let me see what you do on the defensive side of the ball. Let me see when you walk off the court, are you still engaged in the game? You know what I'm saying? Like that's the kind of stuff that I look at. Most kids just look at, I got to score, but it's not really about scoring, because when you go to college, as you know, you was the best guy in Oakland when you went to North Carolina. But when you get there, it's everybody's the best from their town is at that school. It's like 12 guys was Mr. something in their town to go to that school. So what am I going to bring to the table to separate me from these guys? And, so politics play a big part in all that also. Sometimes you just got to deal with it. I would just say you just got to deal with it. to be totally honest.
Now, one thing I want to ask you, because being fortunate enough to be a part of Dunk Mama Media and be
Mm-hmm.
part of the team, I've been able to interview a lot of people from Lou Ritchie
Oh,
to
that's my guy.
Devin A. Hampton that played at Cal,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of different people. Alex Harris that played at St. Joe's and UC Santa Barbara.
Yeah, I know who Alex is. Mm-hmm.
Crazy, Glenn, because not crazy, but everybody that I interviewed always brought something up about character.
Oh, definitely. That plays a big part.
I always felt it was a big part too, and something that my parents told me at a young age that wasn't even basketball related was like, watch what you do because you always have eyes on you.
Everybody's watching. And the crazy part, the crazy part, as you would know, because you went through a process. When guys get drafted, they don't even know that they reach way back to their like high school coach, their junior high coach. You know, they want to know everything about the guy before they just think, oh, I'm gonna get drafted. No, they want to make sure you got a great character, a great following, a great background, all because they don't want to invest millions in you and at some point like, oh, what he won't be here with us anyway. So why would I invest all this money in him? You know, your character is a big, big part of everything you do. Like I tell them, I was like, sometimes, you know, it ain't even really about you, it's about your friends. Sometimes about you got to choose your friends wisely. So everybody's not going to follow your path. You know, everybody's path is different. You know, you went to going to play, have a great career in college, got a ring. You know, how many guys could say they won a national title from Oakland? You know what I'm saying? Not too many. Not too many. J. Kidd didn't even get a national title. GP didn't get a national title. Like you said, Leon didn't get a national title. I mean, he got an NBA title, but I mean, it's just a different path, man, that guys take. Just to get off, so how's your sister doing?
She's doing well, man. Thank you for asking. She's doing well. Mm-hmm. She was overseas in Sheffield last year.
Okay, good.
But then when COVID hit, she was
just messed everything up, huh?
Enough to get back over here, but it was right before the playoffs.
Oh, okay.
She's doing well, and I'm glad you brought that up because for me, being a brother and having a sister that was 11 years apart, you know.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we're 11 years. We
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that.
We're twins, but we're 11 years apart.
Right.
But like we just spoke about, my dad pulled me to the side at a young age because I kind of try to push my sister away. Like, why are you always around? That would always be like, man, your sister looks up to you, and she watches everything you do. For you, we talked earlier before the interview, from the Phil Handies. Shout out to Phil and
oh, no question.
So many other people from back home that we know and that you've helped guide. What are the pros that you see in the successful ones that keep elevating and elevating?
I would say a story that I like the guys that I helped, because I always tell them, you know, it ain't about the money for me because I got a job. I don't need the money, but I just want you to help the next guy coming up. You know, you like you can't save the whole world, but if you help the next guy coming up, say like Will Powers, you know, he calls me all the time. He talks about Phil, and Phil mentions me to him and that kind of stuff. Like Will, I guess Will hit me maybe about a month ago. He wants to come and watch film. He wants to get better at his craft. And I'm like, hey man, whatever you need from me, if I'm around and I'm available, you come to my house, you got the film, we can sit down, we can break it down. Or I just like helping the next guy up, man. That's that. And I want those guys to do the same thing. So Phil has been pretty good at that, to be totally honest, because guys reach out to him. He's pretty good at getting back to guys. And I appreciate that from him. I told him that not too long ago also. Like, hey man, like he reached out to me, like sent a text out the blue, like, hey, thank you for everything. When I look back on my career, I wouldn't be where I'm at without you. And hey, he got 3 rings now, you know? And he just took off, you know what I'm saying?
Looking at I have a few more questions. I'm gonna let you go.
No problem. Do your thing. I got all day, man, whatever you need.
Looking at, I mean, now, when I was growing up, and I'll be 35 next month, but we didn't have
what?
Already, man.
My goodness, where the time go? Oh,
I just walked out of text.
I'm getting old. But you making me feel old when you talking about you 35. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, my bad. What? You good. But what the point I was trying to get to is, like, we didn't have a lot of trainers. Like,
oh, no question.
you
Right.
didn't, like, honestly, back then, if I'm being honest, it was
To
you.
Jimmy on.
Yeah, we were on our own, but it was like that I could remember. It was your
Mhm.
name, Phil's name, and then Ant as a strength and conditioning.
Oh, Coach Ann. Okay. Yeah.
Ant. And I'm not saying there wasn't others, but it's like you said, we had to teach ourselves.
Oh, no question.
Now everybody's a trainer, and
It's too much.
everybody
It's
has.
too much. It's too much, as you know. You know the truth. Hey, you don't have to laugh. You know, guys that ain't even played before trainers now. Like, what? What are we doing?
And
It's
not
too
not to
many.
not to bash anybody, but
Oh, we're not gonna bash them,
no,
but
no, no,
come on now.
but you the real deal. And I want to just say, I want to ask you, what was
Mhm.
it that you felt separated you? It wasn't just the drills. You
Oh
actually
no,
cared about these people.
I think for me, I was just being super honest, being real. I crack a bunch of jokes. I talk smack in the workouts, and we laugh and joke. You know, I try to keep it fun because I'm like, at some point, this gonna get real. You know, you don't need to be real with me. You know, we can talk about each other. We can laugh and joke it, and I tell a bunch of jokes during the workouts. So we just have fun, but we put in the work though. But I try to keep it fun. You know, I put some music on, and hey, we start dancing or whatever we're gonna do. But we're gonna get this work in for an hour. You know, but I could just say I try to build a relationship with the guy. Like I don't need no friend that's 18 and 19. I don't need you to be my friend, but just some kind of relationship where you can be like, I could call him and we can talk about whatever you need to talk about. You know, that's what I try to get out the guys that. And then to this day, I still have a relationship with everybody I ever worked out with. I still have a relation with, from the Ivan Ravs, Bart Bars, everybody. To this day, I still have a relation with those guys, and they can call me at any time. They coach. Let's. I need to get in the gym. If I got the time, I'm there. I'm there. There's no question about it.
Now, unfortunately, last year in 2020, we all know it was a wild year. Thankfully, we're here to talk about it.
Right.
Did that throw off anything that you were doing now? Or did it help?
Uh, well, it was kind of tough because of the gym times. Because COVID just shut everything down, just because of gym times. But I mean, we were kind of still getting it in. We shouldn't have been getting it, but we still was getting it in. But we just couldn't be such a big group no more. Because, like I said, it shut down my whole AAU program. Just shut it down. Well, we had to start being creative with how we can get guys in. Where you know how you can only have 2 or 3 guys in the gym at a time, and you have to wipe everything down. And it was tough. And matter of fact, it's still tough for the guys. I mean, when I talked to my coaches the other day, they still haven't. I mean, we had to shut it down. Just hopefully it could pick back up in February, I guess. Who knows? Who knows with this COVID situation?
And the reason I brought that up because I actually last year I was fortunate enough to I started coaching the girls team, my AAU's team. I was helping coach
Nice.
the team
In the Bay?
in North Carolina under
Okay.
I do music with Jamla Records under Ninth Wonder and Ninth.
Yeah, I heard. See, you don't know I've been keeping up on you too now. I heard they told me you was good. Hey, you don't even know. Hey, Q. Like I said, we know it with each other and we know each other. But like you've been keeping up with what I'm doing. Oh, I've been keeping up on you too. Trust me. They told me you was into that music real big. See, you didn't even know I knew that. Hey, I heard. I was gonna mention it to you. I heard about it. I heard
No,
it. They said Q out there rapping. I'm like, what? I was like, oh, for real? They're like, yeah, Q, he out there rapping. I'm like, what? See, Q, you don't even know I knew that.
but I brought that up because I didn't get a chance due to COVID to go to tournaments and stuff like that. But I love coaching.
Mm-hmm.
But I would talk to parents, and a lot of parents were going through a stressful time because a lot of these young ladies were in high school and they're trying to get exposed and they're trying to get
Yeah.
for the advice. What advice would you give for parents during this time, with everything going on?
See, wow. That's a great question because as you know, out here, I mean, maybe North Carolina might be open a little bit more than it is in California, but California is just shut down, So guys now they're going to Arizona, to Vegas, to different parts to play, to whatever city state is open, they're going to it. But I don't know if it's good or if it's bad because guys are not getting tested. They just out here playing. They had a big shutdown in Sacramento not too long ago that this gym was open and they didn't call guys with cases of coronavirus. And then it's just so hard for the seniors to not have a season, and now, as you know, guys from colleges don't have to leave. They can stay in. They give them an extra year. So there go scholarships out the window for the guys that's seniors. So if you could get a scholarship now, like I have a guy on my team that just signed with San Diego State, but he was lucky enough that he did what he was supposed to do as a junior, that it helped him, that he really didn't need to play AAU this year, But for the guys that's on the fence, it's tough, man. And I can see where the parents are getting frustrated, because if I had a son that a matter of fact, they missed all of last. They didn't get to play an AAU season, so they missed all of that. Then now the basketball season, and they're missing that. So that's 2 years, for a whole calendar year, not playing basketball in front of coaches, because the coaches can't come out to see you. It's tough, man. It's so I could see prep schools just probably opening up all over the place right now.
I was just going to ask you, do you see the shift changing due to just what's taking place in our country or in our world right now? Because like you see, you got a lot of players that are going overseas now. You got a lot of players that are going to the G League now. So it's kind of a bigger gap in choices,
Yeah, and it's limited because everybody's like, it's a lot of guys that don't have a job right now. That has names. That's well-known guys that has names. So they're going to eat up whatever jobs is out there. They're going to take them immediately for little or nothing. Whatever the money is, they're just going to take it because they need the money. Right. So it's just messing up the guys that's coming up. It's just so, because you figure the draft is, just say this year, there was no summer league, there was no pre-draft workouts. All those guys that declared, none of them got to go to a workout because it wasn't a summer league. And then, in Vegas, they usually have the overseas little draft thing, and none of that happened this year. None of that happened this year. So here go guys that I know, even from the Bay, that I know can play. Now agents, it's tough for agents to send guys overseas because they're not paying guys. Because you probably know DeMarcus Nelson.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know. Me and Mark, I work Marky out also during the summer times. So he's back home now. He was just over there playing. He's like, Coach, man, they wouldn't even paying us half the time. So ain't no sense in me going back if I'm not getting paid. So they're not even paying guys. It's just. It's tough, man. It's a tough time to come up. But hopefully Biden can get this thing together. We can get back to some kind of normalcy around here. But right. I just see it's going to probably be another year, to be totally honest, Q. I can see that happening.
I'm hoping for the best, but I can only imagine what the kids are going through, parents as well, but kids, because it's hard enough to try to get exposure, to try to get to the school you want to go.
Yes. And like you said, the kids don't have to leave now. The seniors could stay in another year if they choose. I don't know if they could push them out the door. I don't know what the policy is, but I would doubt it because it's up to them to stay another year now. So that's eating up a scholarship. So I could see that, junior college in California is not playing. They're not playing no games. So that's another year gone. Everybody probably get their year back. But what we're going to do with these guys that's coming in? What's going to happen with those guys that's seniors now that don't have a season to play and no, like you said, no exposure.
Right.
I mean, Q, it's tough out here, man. It's tough out here.
Definitely.
It's tough.
I got two more questions for you, Glenn, and I'm gonna let you go, man. With everything that you've experienced, from training to playing ball to traveling, seeing the world, meeting so many people, what are you most thankful for that you're able to apply to your life today from the love that you've always had?
I would say it gave me a sense of family. It definitely gave me and exposure. Like I saw how guys treat people. I saw how guys. It's funny how the balance is of, you can tell who's who when people look at you because they think you got money and people that don't have money look at you differently. And so I just learned, I try to treat everybody the same. I don't care what walk of life you from, how much money you got, how much money you don't have, what you're driving, what you're not driving, where you stand. I just learned, I would say Kevin Garnett was probably one of the biggest guys that I probably ever been around that treated everybody the same. And he didn't even have to do it. And he was like the best guy, I would say, I've probably ever seen, that I was in a locker room with. Not well, Bichon, it speaks for itself. But I'm talking the guys that I was in an actual locker room with every day. I would say he was the most, him and Terrell Brandon was probably the most down-to-earth people that I ever been around in my life. I would definitely say, and I took a lot from those guys because they were, as you know, the biggest names out there during their time, and they would not let you pay for anything. They would just, it was like the best situation I've ever been in my life. And those two, I would probably say were the guys that I would back then, and I was older than those guys too. And I was like, wow, I can't believe how down to earth these guys really are. You know, and I took that away from them. Like, he was always about family, always about taking care of others. And I was like, wow. And I learned a lot from that experience, to be totally honest.
I love that. I love that. My last question is for any student athlete, any parent, any coach, anybody who may see this interview with you and I. What advice what advice would Glen Graham leave with them?
To the parents, you know, sometimes you got to let the kid fly, to be honest. You know, everybody's going to make a mistake in life. It's going to happen. I made mistakes in life. You know, everything wasn't flying straight. You know, everybody going to bump their head one way or another, but it's how you pick yourself up. It's how you pick yourself up, you know. And to a coach, I would say, get to know the kid. You know, get to know the kid. Don't know him off the court, just not on the court or off the field. You know, get to know, hey, what makes you tick? You know, what problems are you going through today? Because you don't know what this kid going through, what situation he got going on at home, and all you worrying about is getting a WRL. That's it, because that's how I eat. Is when in a W, but that's not knowing what this kid is going through every day. Just get to know the kid. Just sit down with him. You know, you don't have to talk basketball. Just talk life in general. Just life in general. Hey, what you like, what you don't like, what you know. Just get to know the guy. That's what I would say to those people, to be honest.
I think that's great advice, man. I could talk to you all day. You know,
we're gonna talk again, for sure. We talking again.
You
got my number, Q, and I got your number, man. And we gonna definitely keep in touch. And I you know me, I'm one of the guys check in every week on somebody, man. I can tell you that for a fact. You might be like, it might not be a phone conversation, but hey, man, I'm just checking in on you, see how you doing, man. That's just me, you know.
I feel like God made this happen today for a reason.
And it's the first time we ever really spoke, to be totally honest.
And for years, I've always heard your name. And for years, it's always been around people. It's funny because you trained James Akinjo Jr. and I played against his dad, CG.
Okay. You played against CG. Okay, cool.
So
yeah, because CG went to Mac. That's right.
Mac, and CG was a senior when I was a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
And before then, I played with CG when CG was playing Tar Heels and when he played Oakland Powell, and we traveled.
Right. That's funny.
It's a small, you know,
Oakland, very small
world.
But the only thing about it, I can say good people know good people.
Right. Right. But I want to thank you again, man, just for taking the time.
It's my pleasure. It is my pleasure, man. I appreciate you guys for having me on, man. I'm glad I can do this for you and Christy and Ben, and they've been on me about doing it, to be totally honest, for a minute. And then Ben called me maybe about 2 weeks ago, like, Coach, can you do this? But this funny part, he didn't say you was doing it until after the fact. He said, yeah, Quentin Thomas gonna come. I'm like, Q from Oakland Tech? I was like, oh, okay. I said, man, just count me in. If Q doing it, and it's for you guys, I'm in, because I've been knowing Ben and Christy. Christy trusts me with Ben to this day. I trained Ben, matter of fact.
Yeah, man.
I trained Ben.
Beautiful people. Shout out to Dunk Mama Media for this platform. And you got me, man. I'm tapped in with you for life, so you already know.
Come on now, you already know. That's funny how they brought us together. We've been knowing about each other for many, many moons, and here we go, finally holding a conversation over a Zoom call.
It's on and rocking now. But have a great day, Glenn, and I know I'll see you soon, man.
I appreciate you. I appreciate the time, man. And hey, put that together with Phil. I'm gonna text him. Like, hey man, we're gonna put something together. I'm gonna text him. Matter of fact, they play Milwaukee tonight, so I'm gonna text him tomorrow.
Yeah,
like,
let
hey,
him.
Man, I'm gonna do this thing. Me and you and Q gonna do it. He ain't gonna tell me no. He can't tell me no.
I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, for sure. We're gonna put it together for sure.
All right, Glenn.
Okay, Q. Be safe now.